Welcome everyone to CorePower Yoga Conversations. I'm so excited today to be here with Kiesha Battles. Kiesha is a longtime CorePower Yoga instructor. Was it seven years now or 8 years, Kiesha?
Eight.
8
You're very
years
good. Mm-hmm.
teaching with CorePower Yoga. And what I'm really excited about is today's conversation around Ayurveda. Kiesha has a deep background in Ayurveda. She's one of our facilitators of our 300-hour teacher training program. And she also has an incredible background and level of experience in this subject matter, as well as the broader subject matter of yoga. She also has a master's degree in Asian studies. She has a deep academic background in Asian philosophies. And I could go on with her credentials, but I'm most excited to dive into the topic today. Ayurveda is something that I have a little bit of knowledge about through my travels throughout India. I've done a little bit of an immersive program in the Himalayas and spent some time in Mysore, but I really have never really gotten my arms around it as much as I'd like. So I'm excited to learn from you, Kiesha, and can't wait to get right into it. So why don't we get started? And I'm just going to open up this dialogue with a question for you. Kiesha, can you talk a little bit about the relationship between yoga and Ayurveda?
All right. Awesome. Just get right to it, which is beautiful. It's the foundation. Yoga is the foundation for the practices that we have here at Core Power, as well as many of the millions of people across the planet that are doing these practices. Yoga and Ayurveda, they stem from Samkhya philosophy, which is the ancient wisdom that has been passed down to us from the beautiful country of India. So they run hand in hand when it comes to a philosophical understanding of creation. And the simplest way that I think of the story, as some of the teachers I've learned from have shared, there was this big bang, and then the world was created. And the world was created with these elements, and then those elements have qualities. And then from those qualities, it filters into myself, Niki, poses, food, buildings, everything we can think of. These qualities exist. If you're doing yoga, you're practicing Ayurveda, you might just not have the language to further understand how the practice is individualized, where we tend to do the practice collectively as a group. So they come from an origin of Samkhya philosophy, which brings us into how things are created and then how our energy around the world moves.
Beautiful. As I understand it, Kiesha, there are three fundamental pillars of Ayurveda. Can you speak about those for a little bit?
Definitely. We like to learn with numbers, bullets, easy things. And hopefully you feel that yoga practice is easy. And if it's not easy to you or you haven't tried it before, it is simple. The pillars of Ayurveda have to do with what we digest. And we could think about that as food. You could think about it like what you listen to on the radio, what you watch on TV. It's what we digest. And we want to have a good balance on what we digest. I'm going to skip 2 and go to 3. 3 would be rest, right? I'm a napper. I love to nap and rest. I love the lazy days of summer. I can be with a blanket all year. I get a good night's sleep, and then I'm ready to go the next day. So rest is key in finding the right balance for you. Because like my mom only needs 4 hours of sleep, and she's good to go. But it's based upon those qualities, those attributes that I mentioned from Samkhya philosophy that taps into the individual. So pillar number 1 is what you digest. Pillar number 3 is what you do to rest. In between, if you were to really look at classical work, the second pillar is sex, sexual energy. We translate that to be brahmacharya, how we use our energy. So it could be of quote unquote a sexual nature, how you use your energy, but also the pleasures that you do with your energy. So the way we can connect to that is a word called kama, like the Kama Sutra. And the Kama Sutra is not just sexual poses, it is about how you live your life and manage your energy. So think about, if you do practice yoga, when do you choose to practice yoga in the heat compared to not in the heat? When do you choose to practice yoga that you simply just breathe, or yoga that gets you challenged and you decide to go upside down on your head? So if you have a well balanced diet, which is based upon your environment, where you live, what your makeup is and what really digests well for you, if you get some good rest, a good balance, and then you choose how to wellfully use your energy, reading a book or going to a concert, right? Sometimes the energy is, yes, I want to move with Janet Jackson, which I'm going to this weekend, excited about that. And then other
Right.
times I want to snuggle with a book, right? And just go within.
It sounds like it's very much about balance. When you talk about one pillar being what we digest, I think when we think about that, at least I think about what I eat and, about my diet, but your description is actually broader than that. It's the information that we digest. It's what we're possibly, just taking in. How would you think about that? And this might be a little bit controversial, but I think you can handle it. Um, how would you think about that, Kiesha, in the context of social media with people today consuming social media,
Mhm.
digesting what they see on social media? How would you think about that in Ayurvedic terms?
I really love that question, Nikki, because hopefully this is going to be broadcast in some type of social way. So whoever's accessing it could really apply these techniques and tools. And it's going to sound basic and simple, but what yoga as well as Ayurveda do, and being in community with people that appreciate these tools, it reminds us. It reminds us of the simplicity. So the simplicity for me, right? And I'm not saying you can't work your cycle, your rhythm in the way that you're doing. Please don't think you have to have it one specific way. Just like we have different fingerprints, we're all unique. But Keisha's cycle or rhythms when it comes to social media. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I go to my email. And in my email, I receive a meditation from my teacher, Susan Piper, and I listen to that versus me choosing to open my email to see maybe what my manager is asking me to do for the day or what store wants me to buy something and consume something. So choosing to manage that way. Another way that I manage my energy socially is I have Instagram on a certain device, which is not my phone. So when I'm out and about in the world, I can't access it. There's nothing for me to see. But when I get home at the end of the day and I've already eaten well, I've connected with my family, and I want to disconnect and unplug, I say, I'm on veg out and just scroll and laugh. But then if something makes me go, I need to buy it, I need to do it, or I start to judge someone, I don't like what they're doing or saying, I say, put it away, put it away, and then just, shift to another activity that can bring about some balance.
What a brilliant idea. I think many of us struggle with social media and knowing that overconsumption or over identification or getting buried in it or too attached to it can't be the best thing for our health, but that you actually have it on a separate device so you can be intentional about making the choice to spend time at the right time of day for you when you've made your other intentional healthful choices about how you're spending your time and what you're doing with your body and your being. I love that. Myself, if I don't watch myself, instead of going to sleep at night, I can get buried in baby owl videos and tiny dog charades on TikTok. And while they're entertaining and amuse me and make me laugh, I could use sleep more than that. So I like managing what device and when you access them. Let's shift gears a little bit. Can you talk more about energy within Ayurveda, different kinds of energy, and how we can tap into or understand our energy at different times of day or different seasons? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. Thank you for asking that. We use the term energy a lot in yoga practices. because most people that practice or teach say that they feel something. We might not be able to bottle it up, but we feel something. Or someone might see something in us, like a glow of our skin, and say, where is that coming from? And it's an energy that the practices bring, and they bring out of us. So they're already within inside of us. If we step specifically into Ayurveda, we can think of three energies that exist with creation. There is the energy that will move things, and we know that as the term vata. And I'm speaking in Sanskrit, which is the language of Ayurveda and the language of yoga. So there's the energy that will move things. We all have this energy. Presently, it is about 4:50 on the East Coast, where I am while we're recording, which is the Vata time of day, where things are starting to move, because I've already been in the space where did a lot of work, as well as the part where we're waking up. So we're towards like the afternoon phase of the day, where your mind might start to wander about what's next. So I'm going to use Nikki as an example. Nikki came in this morning. She slowly warmed up to the day. That's one energy. The next energy Nikki received was a burst that said, I'm going to knock out this to-do list. I'm going to have these meetings. Here's where I have my big burst of energy, so I'm going to be more productive. Nikki might also have her biggest meal, because that's when her fire is actually metabolizing best. Then Nikki's now in this next phase, which is that phase of movement, where Nikki says, okay, I did my work. The day started off well, or maybe it didn't start off well. What can I do next to create some balance? And what could I do that could be possibly pleasurable, like dancing, singing, looking at owls on TikTok, going to a yoga class? Of course, we love to do that. So the energies start to shift throughout the day. And let me backtrack. So if I start when I wake up, which is, normally a 5 a.m., I'm in the period that is known to be more stable, more structured, and that's what we call kapha energy. So it's okay for me to take my time to get up. And of course, we have jobs and certain schedules, so you got to find the right balance. But ideally, life is saying it is okay to slowly rise, just like the sun slowly rises up. And whether your slow rise is 2 hours, like I got today, or 15 minutes that I got yesterday, but there's this space for a slow rise up versus just a jump up. And after your slow rise up, you do jump up. You kick into gear, you do the work that you're supposed to do, you're intended to do, the list, the things. And then after that energy, which is the energy of transformation and moving things, getting things done, shining you to your brightest, then you start to move into this movement energy towards the end of your day. Then the cycle creeps back up. So after we're out of this vata type of energy, we're going to kick back into kapha energy. And that's like, okay, I'm tired now and, don't really want to do anything. I should be actually winding down for bed. Now, 6 o'clock is kind of early for most of us in the Western world, but ideally, circadian rhythms start to wind down, because it's during the time that most of us, or at least I, gotta individually speak, that I sleep between that 10 o'clock range. That pitta kicks in, but it's kicking in when I'm sleeping so that my insides can process, my mind can rest, digest. So there's actual work and transformation going on when we're consciously at a state of rest. And then early rise, we can wake up, we can meditate, we can hear what we need to hear, we can plan out our day, and then the cycle starts over again. So different energies. I kind of explained it in regards to the cycles of the day. And let's say you're a day worker, that might work. If you're a night worker, I'm sure your rhythm's going to be different, and you're going to find where these energies reside, because they always exist. It's just about finding the balance and identifying them. So Niki, I'll take it another layer, which I think can be like the easiest, the season. Right now, presently with this recording, it's summer. And if we think about the energy of summers, Niki, what do you think about energy of summer for you?
For me, when I think about summer, I think about things are kind of quieting down. Spring, I think of things are active, and the growing season is happening. Everything's coming alive with the spring rains and there are vibrant colors. Where I am, and I know that's different. You're in North Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm in Northern California. Um, in summer here, it becomes extremely dry. It starts to go from vibrant green to shades of brown on the mountains. And I think of things, quieting down before the fall and the winter comes. We enjoy longer days, more sunshine. Maybe we have the opportunity to get outside more. Work tends to quiet down as well as, nature. So, yeah, that's how I think about it. I have a little more time in the summer to do things I want to do versus have to do.
Thank you so much for sharing your example and where you are, which would be a little bit different for me in the smoldering heat of the South. But what I heard from you that is unique for any location, any time of day, or even season, which we're talking about, you said hot and dry. Two things we think of: heat and dryness. What would balance out heat, Niki?
Hmm. Uh, Doing, eating, drinking things that cool you down.
Simple, the opposite, right? Cool. So if we're feeling too hot in summer, we cool ourselves down. And what I love that you said for you is that summer's a time for slowing down, where I feel summer's a time for amping up. And there's yoga retreats and yoga festivals, and there's going to barbecues, and there's the pool. And then I have a kids that learning how to drive. So for me, summer can be fiery. So I need that coolness, right? And then when you say dry, what could help to bring some balance to dryness?
Again, living in Northern California, I think about wildfires. I think about all this heat and the potential for burning. So I think of water and I think of moisture. I mean, our skin needs extra care and sensitivity to that. Drinking more liquids.
Now, we didn't gather together. We didn't plan this beforehand. But Nikki, is there a reason why you're wearing blue today?
Oh, I think I unconsciously gravitated to it. It's about
Mm.
100 degrees where I am today, and I am a person who loves warm colors. And you'll often see me on video in pinks or burgundies or fuchsia. And today I just gravitated to the blue because it's a cool color. I didn't even think about that, but good observation.
That's the Ayurveda. That is the Ayurveda. You just knew, or by experience from the past of wearing something warming when it's warm, that you would be warm. So you gravitated to blue, which is cooling and connects us to that energy of water. It's listening to you. And the U element, some people will hear it termed as doshas, but it talks about who we are and how these qualities might be a little bit more aligned with us on a baseline. So Nikki and I did talk about this last month when we gathered, and we were like, well, what is your dosha? What is your primary makeup? And I shared that I have a primary makeup of kapha, which is that grounding energy, that slower energy. It's like, we'll take our time. But then I have this blend of the pitta energy, which is the, yep, let's get it done. We're amazing. Fire, I can do this. And then that vata energy is also there, where my mind is moving, right? Left, up, down. I have this to do later. Am I saying it right? So all of these energies exist in you, but some you have just a little bit more dominant at times than others. Nikki, do you mind sharing about your dosha makeup understanding?
I'm Vata as my heavier dose of the three energies. Vata, ether, air. Yes, creativity. I can have an idea a minute, and I think my team would like it if I had a little bit more grounding, a little bit more of your kapha energy. So I do have to be mindful of that, and I just love to be in the ideation mode all the time, and I love to imagine possibilities. But being grounded in reality, being more connected to the earth is really helpful to me. My secondary dosha is pitta, so that fire is what propels me forward. It's my GSD factor, like let's get it done, and how fast can we get this done, and on to the next thing to accomplish. But I have to manage that too, because I realize that if I'm not conscious and intentional about drawing on the type of energy within me that's needed in any given
Hmm.
situation, and I just let it kind of control me versus me making intentional choices, I can be running pretty fast and look over my shoulder and not have anyone behind me, or frustrating those around me because my expectations aren't realistic. So I try to balance my vata energy and that pitta by doing yoga postures, particularly when I have a day ahead of me that requires grounding, or a day, where I need to draw on my patience or my, qualities that I'd like to have come more readily. What I'll do is choose my practice in the morning based on what's going on for me that day, and be thoughtful and make conscious choices to ground myself and make intentional choices about the day. What I do know about Ayurveda is the understanding of my, primary and secondary dosha, if you will, has just given me some awareness that I think people around me are grateful for.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you had me right in the beginning when you at first said self control, I think. And then towards the end, you brought up self again. One way that we could all think about this, whether we call it yoga or Ayurveda, it is a self management. So you are in control of one, the self realization, which is yoga, right? Coming to the reality, the awareness, whatever it is from that kind of mental, physical state. And then Ayurveda brings us into that self care. How do you take care of yourself? How do you regulate things? Is it with the style of yoga or this type of meditation? Walking, running, sitting on the couch, going to a movie, reading a book. You find the right balance and rhythm based upon what Nikki said. How am I wired? What's going on throughout the day? And then what's going on in the macrocosm, right? What's the weather like outside? What season is it in? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? All of that has a way in which you're going to regulate yourself.
I love what you're saying. I mean, what I think it kind of all boils down to is this understanding and awareness of self. And this understanding gives us sort of tools to manage ourselves to become our best selves. We can be conscious and intentional about our choice to draw on a particular type of energy based on what the situation needs. And the situation can include the weather, the time of day, the just understanding all of this, and making the best choice for ourselves, because we're all individuals.
Hmm. Definitely. What you make me think of there, Nikki, which could be supportive for folks. And I learned this through core power training, through the many fabulous teachers that lead our Ayurveda, is the concept of like attracts like. So, whatever you're primarily wired, you're going to like it more. You're going to be drawn towards it more. You're going to be really great at it. You're going to do it all the time. But you have to realize that there needs to be a little bit of balance if these two other energies could potentially exist in you. And my friends like Katrina, they've heard the jelly bean story before. I am primarily kappa, which associates with like a sweetness, right? And I love sweets. Ice cream, but I love some jelly beans. And I'm not going to name the brand, but I love a specific brand and a specific flavor. I could eat that for dinner. I could eat it for dinner, right? And I'm aware when I do it, Nikki. And you know when I'm really aware when I do it? When I go to the dentist. And the dentist says, Miss Battles, Miss Battles, a lot of sweet, right? Causes, some stuff we need to do with cleaning your teeth. And you notice the imbalance. Ideally, with yoga and Ayurveda, you're clearly seeing when it's right to make those choices of, I have the jelly beans today, but I'm not going to have them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I might pick them back up, next month.
It's easy for us to fall into the trap of thinking of extremes like jelly beans are forbidden forever, no, can't have them. And when I fall into that trap personally, it makes me want something more. um, and then I get obsessive about it, and then I have to have it, and then I have to have too much of it, and that is really unhealthy. So I think the idea that, it's okay to have jelly beans once in a while, just not too much and not, all the time. And when you do have them, don't eat like the whole bag in one sitting.
All right, Niki, I hope you're open for this.
I'm
Are
open.
you open to sharing something that you like that you could consider how you moderate that and regulate that?
Yeah. Yes, I like staying up at night late. There's something about when everything else quiets down and I get to do whatever I want to do. And I've always been that way, whether I was living alone or living, with someone. It's like my time. But I know it's really unhealthy because I have to get up early. That's a non-negotiable. So if when I stay up late, I don't sleep in. I have a lot of energy, and I think that's the pitta. I can do a very physical practice on very little sleep. I can do that. What I notice in my energy when I lack sleep is my emotional resilience dissipates. So I don't handle the curveballs or the unexpected. I'm not as patient as I'd like to be. I'm not as balanced as I like to be. All of those things sort of erupt. So, kind of like the jelly bean, the indulgence in the moment feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I organized my sock drawer, at 11 o'clock last night, and it's all color coordinated, and that part
That's
of me.
pitta right there.
I'm just like, this is awesome. And then, the next day when I have no patience or I say something, to a family member that I shouldn't have said that kind of flew off my lips and I regret it, it's like I always look back and go, yeah, I should have slept more last night. I wouldn't have done that. And I wouldn't choose to do that. So, yeah, that's sort of an indulgence that has not very good implications.
I like how you brought it back to what I think about those three kind of pillars of Ayurveda. I brought up diet, which was the jelly beans. You brought up staying up late, which was the rest. And then talked about that middle ground, which was managing the energy in between. And if we go back to those three doshas, these three energies and how we're made up of, we could connect the kapha to the sleep, right? The keeping us rested and digested. We could connect to the food that we eat. We could think about that as the pitta, right? The digestion, the processing of things. And then the vata is in between, which is the energy, because vata connects us to wind, which is the prana energy that flows through us with yoga.
You told me something when we chatted earlier about when I get the burst of energy at 10 o'clock at night, it's my pitta energy kicking in, so my body can rejuvenate itself for the next day. And that awareness that that is a natural energy surge that I'm getting, that I need to work with that in a different way and not, succumb to, let's go clean out the sock drawer and organize it by colors, when I really
Right?
should be in bed and resting. I thought that was,
Yeah.
just really helpful to understand.
That's your right, self-realization. That's what we're calling yoga, the svadhyaya. You got some information from me, which you probably heard before in your travels and studies, but it digested in that moment and how I offered it. And then you brought it into this present moment of the example you gave, where yes, I like to stay up at night, but another way I could think of it is if I stay up, then I'm not letting my body prepare me for the next day. So, you know what? I will go to sleep. But it also want to get up and clean because the pitta energy's there. But hopefully you let that kapha energy kick in earlier to put you to sleep before you realize that your body's doing the processing. I'll also equate it back to our yoga practices at Core Power. Shavasana at the end of our classes. It is the space that we talk about with the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory of rest and digest. We need to let the body and the mind catch up to all the amazing things that we did in this yoga class or in this 24-hour day. Let it catch up so that it can fuel you and prepare you for the next day and just have the right amount of balance. Can I sneak in one question? Think of CorePower as a company. If you had to quote unquote give it a dosha assessment, what is the makeup of the three doshas, the three elements, or do you feel that we have a primary dosha presently?
When I visit our studios, and I talk to our teachers in our studios, I get such vastly different experiences, and all great, I have to say. Like, I get energy in different forms when I go to the studio. So, and that's one of the things I love about it. A teacher creates the energy in the studio, and that energy in the studio really creates the core power experience for any one of us in the community. And so I don't really think of the core power in its entirety having one type of energy, because I can go, to Dina's class at Lodo and I get kappa so much and I need it and I love it. And it's like, I'm so happy to see you. I flew in last night and I need this grounding. And then I can go to Sydney's class at Lohi and be like, I needed to get fired up today because my butt's dragging, and I'm so glad you brought that energy, And so I experience core power based on the way any teacher connects and teaches her class or his class. And they're all different. But I mean, if I was forced to pick one, I'd say Vata. But maybe that's because I see the company through my own eyes and it's filtered. What do
That
you think the answer is?
so you also made me think of plug for when you come to visit Charlotte, North Carolina. You might feel kapha energy from all of our teachers compared to a San Diego market where Beth and Matt are. And I think that's pure pitta fire energy, right? And some of our studios are a little hotter or cooler than others. So you bring me into that geographical space and how that changes. So based upon you, where you're at, and what's going on. So yeah, good answer to have no one answer. But we're going to take Vata for the CPYU quiz that people might have to take after watching this.
What a great conversation, Kiesha. I can't wait to come to Charlotte and visit you, because you just have such a wealth of knowledge, but also I love your attitude and perspective about all of this. You make it so accessible and approachable.
Thank you.
And we all know yoga, and particularly with so much, Sanskrit and so much, philosophy that is kind of foreign and intimidating to so many people. Making it accessible and approachable, I think, is just so important. So thank you for that. And I hope someday to bring Ayurveda in a more structured way to our students. So
that would be so cool.
Knowledge that you have could be shared more broadly.